Good day and welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Excited to be with you today as we discuss global and national news as we consider the perspective of others who are impacted and as we grow in our purpose. So let's jump right in and get started. Today, we're going to discuss some important information that impacts us all, how we can each help this environment that we live in. Global environment helps and impacts us in many ways. There are things that nature does that helps us to be better. It helps our environment, helps the air we breathe, those plants, helps the bees with the honey. Different things that happen naturally that help us. However, there are some also impacts that can harm us. So today we're going to take a minute and discuss the global environmental effects that we all face, whether we're across the water or here in the United States. How we can be the difference where we are so that we're better and leaving this earth, this wonderful planet, to our next generation and the generation after, so that your legacy can enjoy all the fruit that this earth has to offer. This is such an interesting topic. It's so important that there are politicians that debate on it. They keep their platform on it, whether you're pro or against, because it's such an important cause that nations have to put money behind it in showing what they're doing to help their culture. So we're going to take this minute to prioritize the effects of different things that happen in our environment and how we can be the one to make it better. I do want to caution you with one piece of information. Nothing happens overnight. So while there are things we're going to share today, you have to understand that the little steps that you do will ultimately help over time. Because here's the thing. The atmosphere didn't change overnight. There have been many effects that have caused our earth to shift, caused our atmosphere to change. And that all affects the animals the same way it does us. Recently, where I live, we've dealt with the absolute worst, spoken by medical professionals, sinus and allergy season ever experienced. One medical professional said that it's so bad, over-the-counter medicine is not effective. So what can we do so that we can help this planet? The air quality, the water quality. Remember, we're over 60% water, so we have to stay hydrated. How can we help ensure clean air and water, clean land, where we can continue to plant and grow and make what we're dealing with best possible? Let's talk about air pollution. Air pollution is something that honestly we can work to control. And there are some things that you can do. When you consider air pollution, many people think about some cities that we know that constantly have a cloud hanging over them. I actually flew into one of those cities. And as I was landing in the distance, you could see that gray cloud right over some of the skyscrapers. Now, the name of the city isn't important because honestly, if we don't change across the world, every city could face the same impact. So what can we do to help with air pollution? Glad you asked. Because the difference maker in you says, there are some things I can do right now to help. So here's an easy one for you. Some tips that are shared by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency are to consider driving less. Our car produces emission gas that elevates out of our pipes, right? That goes straight up into the atmosphere. Well, while that's elevating, you're breathing it. So it's having an impact on those of us that are within that air quality realm, as well as the fact that it's rising to go and merge with the clouds and the atmosphere above us. So if you could just consider driving that car a little less, how much of an impact could it possibly have for your grandchildren, your grandchildren's grandchildren? Come on, family. Also, while we're speaking about how we can make a difference in our cars, consider maintenance being a big issue. How often do you make sure you get that emissions test, or you get that oil changed, you get those filters changed? See, when you're inside your car, you're also breathing the air in. So we're not just talking about the impact on the world around you, because we need you to be the best healthy you possible. How often do you get your air filter changed inside of your vehicle to help all of that that's outside not impact what's inside? Consider turning off your engine when necessary instead of leaving those cars idling. Again, gas is being released. Don't burn your own garbage or trash. Let's find a way to dispose of it in a way that's healthy. Because again, that smoke, when it's black, it's not a good thing. Usually an indication that there's something wrong is when you're looking at black smoke in the air. Tends to be when something's burning. So while you're thinking about what you can do with your vehicle, let's think about how we dispose of our trash. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But when you don't burn your trash, it also helps to possibly eliminate those backyard fires. See, we often forget that sometimes the ground can be actually drier than we think. And so once you start to burn that pile of leaves, you elevate the caution level of that fire spreading. I have folks in my family that were born and raised in the country, and they love the opportunity to burn their leaves. They do it in a way that's very safe. They have it one place that they consider. It's not just spread everywhere. They're very careful to not burn the grass, to do things that will help after they finish with that. Consider all of the different airs and toxins that are around you. Just a few more tips, family. How about that electric lawnmower versus a motor powered one? That's for my folks who don't mind being in the yard and cutting your grass. The folks that use the weed whackers, come on now. If you're like my husband, he loves his yard work. And it was very intentional when he switched from a gas weed whacker to an electric one. Now, some of these tips might seem very minuscule to many. You might be saying, Tammy, I'm one person. Is that really going to help our environment? I want to challenge you today with the answer, yes. Every little bit matters. Think about it this way. When you put that $10, that $20 away, it's very little. You might be making thousands out of each paycheck. But when you take time and put away, you save. It makes a difference in the long run, right? So the habits that you use to help pollution, to help in less the energy that we use, to help make sure that our homes are safe, that our families are safe, our vehicles are safe, and that everything we do helps with the cost. Okay, let me give you just a few more. We often talk about climate change. There are things that you can do. You can consider even in your home, getting the natural air versus running that AC all the time. Electricity, as it increases, draws from different sources of nature. How can you use those fans that run a little bit less energy versus that full blast AC unit? Just got to keep it at 65 degrees all the time, huh? How can you do little things that might help you in the long run? For my folks that are the ones that love aromatherapy, you guys see I have my candle burning in the back. That's a thing for me. I love the smell. It helps regulate my mindset, helps keep me in a space of calm. And sometimes it just smells so good in here that I'm productive when I'm working and on it. Something to consider though, those aerosol cans, how much we use them to again release gases into the atmosphere that might not necessarily be helpful. If you're spraying so much that you're coughing afterwards, okay, so my job is just to share a few tips to help us be better human beings so that as we walk this planet together, we know that we're doing the best we can. So while it might not seem like monumental donating to different places or figuring out different things that you can do on a grand scheme or grand scale, your household combustion devices, your motor vehicles maintenance, the information that you're getting and how you take care of your car. And then industrial facilities that are in your neighborhood that are around you, they automatically produce all the things we wear, those things we eat, those devices that we use. And then, of course, reducing forest fires is huge. To my smokers out there, there's a better way to extinguish that cigarette. I grew up with Smokey the Bear, who always said, you can prevent forest fires. We're dealing now in this atmosphere, in this day, where there are forest fires out of control raging in Canada. Our hearts go out to our Canadian brothers and sisters because those forest fires, they're having the hardest time to maintain, which means they're consuming individuals as their homes and their lives and what they felt comfortable with. Could you imagine going to work and coming back to nothing? Could you imagine waking up in the middle of the night because your home is burning from the outside? Could you imagine having your home but not being able to live in it because the air quality is full of smoke because of the forest that's burning up the street? And here's the thing. We in America are experiencing the same smoke that the Canadians are experiencing because our planet has different streams of air that flow from Canada throughout the United States. And what it's currently doing, as many meteorologists are sharing in their weather updates, is they're pulling that smoke. And it's evident if you look up. It's evident for those who might be joggers, or you might be bikers, or maybe you just get out and do your walk on your trail and you're noticing a little bit more coughing when you get back. So would it make a difference for that person who could have extinguished that fire differently in Canada to help you? Absolutely. So it's important to remember many, many effects and the power that you have to make a difference where you are. Family, we're going to go more into climate change and into global warming and some practical tips that we can use, that we can do, that we can educate our children to consider adapting, those daily habits that can make a difference. We're going to discuss more in our next segment. So stay tuned. There's more after this.
Hey everybody, this is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner on Empowered Mornings. We'd like to invite you every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., uniquely and gorgeous, to keep your mind locked and loaded on WIN Network.
Hey, it's Coach Piangel Jones from the Empowered Morning Show, and I'm reminding you to watch All Things Well, 4 Thursdays, right here on the WIN Network.
Welcome back to the Power Up. I'm Tami, your host. So glad that you're joining me today. We've taken the beginning, kicked off our segment today to discuss the power that we have to help this planet, this place that's home to us, that was home to our ancestors, and that we want to leave to the generations to come. Many of us love going to the beach, but can you imagine being out there on the water and watching garbage come up on the waves to where you are? Many of us love going to those wonderful tropical islands, but can you imagine those who have experienced devastation, like our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico, who are still rebuilding, like those in the Dominican Republic, or those who in different areas that haven't had an opportunity to yet find their personal effects Nevertheless, find ways to get a normalcy back in place. Family, I want to empower you and encourage you that you can help even our family across the water. Consider your small but important donation to the United Nations Foundation. The United Nations is a global partner. They're assisting our family in Canada that I just referenced. They assist those worldwide. There are wars going on in other lands. Individuals we can't personally touch, but we're of one race, the human race. And so whatever you can do can certainly make a difference. And I'll put it this way, my grandma used to say, but by the grace of God, there go I, which means, family, it could be me, where you would want your neighbor or others that could do any small item, any small token, even get educated and raise awareness about it. Even learn what's going on so that you can be the voice. The United Nations Foundation has resources available for you so that you can become the advocate, the difference maker in the community. You can be the one to help make that difference. Consider tapping into the United Nations Foundation. As we talk more about how we can also make changes, let's discuss those words that folks hate to hear, especially those who are in the political realm and maybe their base is pro or against. We just want to be better and gain some tips and some information today. So I'm going to share some information, again, global impact, okay, from the United Nations on how we can help with climate change. There are some easy things you can do to help preserve energy in your home. Consider switching your light bulbs to LED light bulbs. The reason that they're so popular is because they found a way to help your energy bill, that electric bill, be a little bit less while your light is being illuminated. It takes less power to get what you need, in other words. Now, LED light bulbs are not that expensive, and it's been proven that they last longer than the typical wattage bulb. Easy thing you can do to switch that not only helps your bills, but also helps the environment. We're just trying to share some tips. Consider when you're getting ready to purchase that new appliance. Ooh, you've been seeing those amazing refrigerators, right? Those new washing machines and dryers. Because if you're a homeowner, when it breaks, you got to fix it. Consider getting those that are energy efficient appliances. Some of them now, there are some places you go where that's all they make because it's the most popular item. And manufacturers understand their requirement to help the planet. So when you're shopping, consider those that are energy efficient. And you shouldn't have to search. It should say it right on the outside of the appliance you're looking to purchase. Here's another easy tip, family. How often do you wash your laundry in cold water? Oh, come on, y'all. We here at the Power Up, we share tips that are tangible. We share things that you can do to be better for you and everybody around you. So, how often can you wash your clothes in cold water? The reason that's important? Yep, that gas bill, that heating the water. And many detergents now sell faster because they say for cold water washes. They found a way to maximize the detergents to make them more effective in cold water. So little things that you can do as wonderful household tips. Now, y'all know back in the day, I'm old, so I know say back in the day, my grandmother used to hang the laundry on the clothesline, y'all. That's how old a sister is. Now, youngins now, no idea. But when you didn't have that, it made it easier for you still to accomplish what you needed to. They still had clean clothes. You didn't know they weren't tumbling in a dryer. Am I promoting hanging your clothes on the laundry? No. What I'm doing is trying to help us think more about cost savings, saving your money, and about energy saving. Here's another good one. How often can you get on those two wheels, that bicycle, or walk versus driving? If the store is literally across the street, if you have an opportunity to walk and experience the great things around you, let us not be those who can't stop and smell the roses and don't even notice it's a whole rose patch over there because we're so in a quick mode to get to where we have to get, the hustle and bustle of life. One of the things the pandemic taught us was how important stopping, pausing, appreciating, and assessing is. We were in many situations of lockdown. That meant that our movement was limited. Some of us experienced new norms. We found all of a sudden the reason to walk that dog extra. We wore some of our fur babies out during the pandemic because that was when we were leaving the house to walk the dog. And many of us bought bikes for the first time. There were stores that were sold out because we were now forced. We didn't need to go anywhere. The cars were sitting. We were forced to find other ways to keep this body moving, to keep our minds fresh. And some of those you can still practice while you're back in the hustle and bustle. Okay, family? Let us make sure that we think about ways to commute that can lessen the air quality, that can help us. Those carpools, they still exist. I know you got your new ride and you love commuting, but there are ways that you can help somebody else. You know, a coworker lives up the street. Maybe alternate so you're not using your car one day, she's using another. I'm not making these up. This is public information that has been shared on many resource pages. Let's keep going. How can you also help the earth, the actual planet, the dirt, the grass, the impact you have on the birds, right? How can I do it, Tami? I'm one person. Got you covered with that too. How often do you actually recycle? Recycling and reusing is so important. Folks who are around me know I'm faithful to it because I drink so much water. It got to a point when I went through throat surgery where water was all I could consume for a little while. I couldn't do the sweetened and the additives and things because I was going through a healing process. So I was going through cases of bottles of water before I found those other devices that can help filter your water. Another tip there. You don't always have to buy that case of water when you can use those filter jugs you just refill. Okay. As I noticed how much water bottles I was using, I said, yo, this is too much. I've got to find a way to recycle this. Let that plastic be melted down so that they can reuse it again. One health conscious tip I want you to remain. This is just an extra plug. Don't leave your water bottles in the car when it's hot outside. Put your bottle in the freezer in the morning. Take it out while it's ice cold and let it roll with you. I need you to think health first. Here's an important tip, family. The same plastic that they melt down and reuse so that you can use those bottles again. Help the planet with compost waste. Brain fog. Helps us make sure that we are not putting a lot of trash in the landfill. All right, so here's the thing though. As you reuse those bottles, that means that it's been broken down before. So when the bottles get hot, it lets the plastic dissolve. If you ever leave a bottle of water in your car in a very hot day, before you drink it, look at the bottle of water. If you notice stuff floating in it, it's not consumable. Water a plant, throw it out. Whatever you need to do, but don't ingest it. Okay, for your safety. So in those moments, how you practice, how you take care of you in the hot days, that's something we're going to really delve into in a future show. But it makes a difference with how you also care for the what you use. So I started recycling like crazy, taking it to the recycle center, papers, plastics, glass. You can recycle old computers, old cords, electrical equipment. You can recycle car batteries, those printer batteries, the printer ink, those cartridges. Take it back to the store, let them recycle it. There's things that you can do so it's not being stored in the landfill. Because think of it this way. If you want to fill your bathtub up with stuff, at some point, your bathtub is not going to be able to be filled with anything anymore. It's going to be heaping, overflowing with that. So when we think about landfills, you can only put but so much in the ground. And for those agencies or that burn the waste, we just talked about the gases being released and how important it is to limit how much you burn. Family, just trying to make sure we're all living healthy together. Also consider what you can do to reuse. You'll notice grocery stores now, they sell reusable bags. Don't have to keep buying the plastic bags or getting the plastic bags and then you're storing plastic in your cupboard. When you can throw those reusable bags, just have your groceries right back in them and you just saved all that plastic. Yeah, every little bit matters. Okay, I'm going to get out your pocket with the reusable cost or with things you might be purchasing. And let's talk about something really easy. How about plant a tree? How can you actually give back to the planet what we use from the planet? My grandma used to have a pear tree outside her house. Went to another cousin, they had an apple tree. Knew some folks up the street, they had a whole different type of tree. And what they would do is they would take their produce as neighbors and they would share it with each other. Come on, internal grocery store. Many of us have homes or have ways that we can help to grow our own food. It's not difficult to grow a lemon when you take the seeds out the lemon and put it in the dirt. And I want to help somebody that says, Tammy, I like my condo. I don't have to deal with the grass. I'm not interested in taking care of the lawn. I hear what you're saying. There are ways you can create your own garden off your balcony. Grow your own herbs in your kitchen. Things that you can do so that we're not just pulling from the ground, pulling from the earth, running over, and we are actually building our own to help not just our budget again, but help our planet. You planting a tree, making an effort to help teach children the worth of planting trees. Can you imagine if you took a child, your grandchildren? I have 6. If once a year, come on, I'm writing this down. I'm going to start doing this with my grandbabies. If once a year I took my 6 grandchildren, got each of them a tree, and we planted 6 trees one time a year, every year as our annual family thing. Can you imagine not just how many trees are now going to be part of the earth, but how I just taught them an important lesson that it's better to teach someone how to fish than just fish for them. I just taught them the value of taking care of their planet. And then the same lesson I taught them, if they were to do with their children and their grandchildren, can you imagine just from the impact this one Tammy made to help our planet? Come on, family. That's what it's all about here on the Power Up. How we can be better to calm pollution, to help be about changing our climate for the better, and help with this atmosphere improving one person at a time. You can tap into resources to help our family across the nation by going to the American Red Cross. Whether you donate blood or donate funds, there are ways that they have resources and they tap into grassroots agencies that help with those things we experience in the atmosphere, the fires, the disasters. Yeah, we've had communities across the United States that experience hurricanes and tornadoes. So once they recover, how many trees do you think they lost that you can be a help with? Consider the American Red Cross as one of your local resources and give back. Family, we're going to move into our health focus as we come back and talk about this being Arthritis Awareness Month. We're going to share some health tips just for you. Stay tuned. There's more after this.
Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with you on Financial Friday. Are we growing? It is taught and understood that we are on a spiritual journey from glory to glory, from the Old Testament to the gospel of grace, which far outweighs the old, from rules and laws to a loving, intimate, mature relationship with Christ. The same should occur with our savings and investing. We may start out with a designated amount based on a rule, but as we develop the correct relationship with money, connecting it to our purpose, we should be moving towards saving and investing in larger amounts. We can both wisely save for the future as well as store up riches in heaven. There is no either or. James 1:16 through 17 states, saving, investing honors God as it shows we value our money as a gift. When we save, it also gives us the opportunity to bless others. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
Good day. Welcome back to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami. So glad that you're along for the ride. We had an opportunity to discuss thus far the power that we have, being the one us, to make a global impact. We're now going to step into some important information that we can adapt to educate ourselves so that we are equipped and empowered to make a difference. Here on the health front, we want to discuss today that this is Arthritis Awareness Month. Amongst many awareness months right now, this is also mental health awareness, lupus awareness. The elevated word here is awareness. So as we consider how we can be healthy and how we can help others and discuss arthritis, there are some little known facts that might be very beneficial to you. Consider that some of the people who might just make those noises when they stand up and sit down, because their back hurts, their knees hurt, their hands constantly hurt. We watch grandma struggle a little, or we see dad moving a little slower. There's something to consider. Medical professionals say that we will all deal with some form of arthritis as long as we are walking this planet. Isn't that interesting? That everyone's bones and skeletal structure, as we age, will have to compete with gravity, the force that keeps our feet on the ground. And your bones over time deteriorate, so they lose their density. That's the reason why your consumption every day of vitamin D, D3, that good old glucosamine, all those different vitamins, your multivitamin is so important because it actually feeds your skeleton, your bones, with what you need to stay strong and healthy. I work with a personal trainer, and I myself have worked in the physical fitness field for over 20 years. And I remember learning how important it is to lift weights, even as a senior and throughout life, because that builds your muscle strength so that as you get older, your muscles can compensate for your skeleton, because your bones will lessen in strength, but your muscles can gain strength. Come on, I'm trying to help somebody. We're not going to be deep today. It's about being empowered so that we can be the difference. If you just find and prioritize the time to put into what you need to be stronger and healthier, I promise it will help you as you age. We often get stuck in the right now. Well, Tami, I'm too busy. I can't get to the gym. I don't have the time, right? Okay. What I would for you to consider is what the 20 years from now you looks like. The 40 years from now you feels like. Many of us can start right now doing things that will help us in that time, in those space, because it's important to remember that if you're not a healthy you, your quality of life changes as you get older. Let me simplify it just a little bit. Consider this. I know your knees hurt you now, but wouldn't you like to be able to stand up and sit down on your own in 40 years? I don't have to make it too much more visual. Wouldn't you like to be able to get up and out of the bed by yourself as you age? So your bone structure is important, your skeleton. Here are a few tips that can help us all. Number one, I need you to make sure and keep everybody around you conscious about being nice to folks who are walking slowly, who might need more time in their steps. There's usually a reason, and we're all built differently. We have to remember that it's important for us to be the advocate, to be the difference, to be that positive voice oftentimes. So if you see that there's someone in need, that's when we step up and we have the opportunity to either assist or educate those around who understand the why. While medications may help with arthritis, many times they're just short term or help as a pain reliever, that anti-inflammatory medicine, what helps the inflammation to go down, to reduce your pain in your joints. Because can I tell you, one of the things with arthritis is how it affects your joints. That's every single part between your between your finger, every shoulder movement, the leg, the lineage, the different things that make your muscles together. What you need to help stay healthy starts with what you consume. So those with arthritis, here's a few things that I want to share. And those who may know folks, and even more so, let's say it's not in your house or on your street just yet. No, the medical professionals say we'll all have to deal with the us versus gravity as we age. So the tips will help you be the best you. Okay, here's a few. So that we aren't dependent on those opioid medicines. I don't have to call them all by name. The pain relievers. Consider alternating ice and heat. It's a natural way to help your nerves numb. So when I was in high school, I used to run track. And a sister was prone to ankle injuries and shin splints and all of that. I'm not running nowhere right now. But high school, one of the things they used to do first was put ice on it, because it would not just reduce swelling, but it would help numb the nerves so that my pain effect went down a little. There are times when your muscles hurt and the doctor says, pull out that heating pad. Let the heat help soothe those muscles. Might even give the advice, as most do, to alternate 20 minutes, heat on, ice on, heat on, ice on. Whatever will help you be the best you. Oftentimes we get so used to just popping pills because they can be quicker pain relievers. But that impacts your liver. It impacts your digestive system. And they might be making gel caps and things that are easier to swallow, but it's still what you're putting in your body that you now have to deal with. Family, there are things you can do to continue to be mobile and effective. Let's share just a few tips about how you can strengthen those joints. First, there's no way to not say it. You got to move something. You have to not allow yourself to be in a state of rest for long. Scientists say that something in motion will stay in motion. But if it's at rest, it will stay at rest. In other words, bringing grandma back into it, she used to say, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Consider the fact that even recovering from injuries, they immediately at the hospital make us get up and start moving right away. They don't allow us time just to prop up and keep it there. I watched someone recently have hip surgery and they had him up immediately moving because the joint has to stay loose. I have the pleasure of working with seniors, and some of the moves that we do that are so very easy but can also be difficult is making sure you put your hands over your head every day. How often do you do other than Sunday in church? Because it makes a difference with the fact that you're breaking up that cartilage. You're helping prevent those rotator cuff injuries. Come on, as we age, we deal with the things in our body that aren't as tight as they used to be when we were newborn, straight out the womb, right? As you grow, the earth impacts you. You fall, you deal with damage. I was an athlete. That puts wear and tear on your body. There are some things that you just want to do, and you want to make sure you have a good quality of life. You got to move something. Also, consider your activity and your limits. To be very transparent, those who live with arthritis don't have necessarily the full capacity to move like they used to. However, like you used to is different than nothing. It's not about what you can't do. It's about focusing on what you can. Remember, we're no longer walking in limits, living in excuses. We're not allowing age, disorder, disease, folks. We're not allowing ourselves to stop anything from living out loud and on purpose. It's about being happy and whole and healthy. Write those words down and make sure that that's your focus. How I can be happy, how I can be whole, and how I can be healthy. So if you find that you live in this body with limits, whether it's rheumatoid arthritis or whether it's many of the different effects, there are some easy things. Consider how often you do the stairs, even when it hurts. Consider if you're in a state of sitting, that during the commercials, you stand up. And here's another one. How often can you sit down and stand up? A few times, so that your back gets extended, so that your knees get adjusted. Not saying it's going to feel good in that moment, but if you're already hurt, how about not letting stuff get stuck and stiff? Okay? We want to be out there on the dance floor when you're 90 for your birthday party. You want to still be able to do the thing and go on road trips with the girls and enjoy that vacation by yourself if you want to in your 80s. You want to still have the life that you longed to live, that you worked so hard for when you were young, raising the kids, taking care of everybody, so you could have your pension and your security and go out there and enjoy just as much your senior years, those golden years, right? What you do now makes a difference in how you will then. So during this Arthritis Awareness Month, we want to remind you of how important those massages might be, how important that ice versus heat might be. Some folks even use acupuncture. Whatever will help so that it's not just pill popping to eliminate the pain, but it's learning how you can move and still be the best you can be. We're going to continue to share health tips on the health front so that we're all equipped, educated, empowered, and elevated to be the best us we can be. Stay tuned as we go into our motivation moment. There's more after this.
Hey, it's your girl, A Love. Make sure you follow me and Pastor PG, LaShonda Robinson, on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Girl Let's Talk. And let me tell you, it's not your typical church conversation. Make sure you join us on the WIN Network.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner at Empower Mornings. Join me every Monday at noon to work out with Regina on WIN Network.
Welcome back to the Power Up. So glad that you stayed with us throughout this day. And we know that there's so much information that we have shared to help change our environment, to change the world. You are a world changer. to help change our neighborhoods and even those that are right next door and in our homes. We want to make sure that here at the Power Up, we're all focused on how we can take information, apply it, and excel. Because there's a difference. Oftentimes we'll go take classes or we'll go to seminars or listen to those broadcasts or go to church on Sunday, or we're in places where people talk at us. They speak information that we don't retain. What we want to do is remind you the information that you receive should be so easy that you can apply it, and then that you will do what needs to be done to be the best you. So consider the action steps that you need to put with every piece of information. We can share statistics all day. Let me give you one easy one. Do you know that only 1% of the earth is considered a safe environment, safe climate, safe atmosphere? 1% of the entire planet. Scientists are amazing individuals. But that to me is a hard fact to swallow. I have yet to see the rest of the world, which I hope soon to experience. But what I know is that if I can start now with the power I have, then at least I can leave something a little better, even if it's just sharing information and creating habits with my grandchildren, with my children, and sharing information with the Power Up family. During this motivation moment, take all of what we share and figure out what you can do. Tips for how you can make sure your car's gas and emission is helping the climate, the actual air you breathe. How you can help brothers and sisters across the water in other places dealing with natural disasters with the United Nations Foundation. How you can donate blood or money and help those in your close area throughout the United States by contacting the American Red Cross. How you can make sure that as you make small changes, planting a tree, recycling, reusing, as you consider making sure your car is checked regularly, you're buying those appliances that are efficient, as you consider AC versus natural air, those things that not just impact the environment, but your budget, all to help us be better. As we remember that moving is important, hydration is important, that being healthy is number one. Because here's the thing, when you speak to most millionaires and you ask them what they prioritize, it's not the money. It's staying healthy so they can enjoy the money. Family, tomorrow is going to be just as great. And it's all for you to experience. But start with things now that can make that difference. So I want for you to consider how you can make sure that you reach out for help if necessary. We offer you the National Institute on Mental Health that's always readily available to share resources that can remember your mind, body, soul, finances, social activity. All that's important. Your faith makes the difference in you being amazing. So those migraines, let's get them addressed. That stress you feel when that person walks in the room or when they call you on their phone. Let's get that addressed. How you're dealing with bereavement from a loss. What help do you need in this moment to get you where you need to be? You know, we all have moments when help is necessary. Nobody's perfect. If you break a bone, you immediately go to the hospital so that the help is there to fix it. If someone's choking, you immediately call help 911 so that they can help you figure out how to dislodge it. If you find yourself in an accident, whether car or some other form, you immediately call for help so that they can give you the guidance you need. No less important when it's your emotional state, your behavioral state, your psychological state, all that there for you. And for those folks who feel like you're at the end, Tami, I can't take no more. I'm totally done with this. consider reaching out just one more time for me to those at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Trained individuals that aren't here to judge you, critique you, tell you what you're doing wrong, just here to listen. We'd always rather hear your story than read about it in an obituary. And if you decide that today is the end, oh, you're going to miss the amazing tomorrow. And tomorrow's tomorrow. There's so much greatness in front of you. And I would for you to consider to reach out when you need that help. I want to share this thought with you, family. Your windshield is so much bigger than your rear view mirror. Because your rear view mirror in a car is only meant to glance for safety purposes. When you have to get into that parking space, you want to make sure no one's walking behind you. When you're not sure where you're going and you have to check all your mirrors for your sides and your rear, it's just meant to help you. But your windshield is so big because it's meant to show the greatness of where you're going. It's meant to help you see not just what's immediately in front of you. You have to hit the brakes, but what's happening in the distance. There's traffic coming up. Maybe I should take this exit. I see a storm cloud ahead. Okay, let me make sure my wipes are working. Look at the rainbow in the sky while I'm driving forward. Come on, family, your windshield gets to show you the whole peripheral vision. Not just what I see straight, but the greatness on both sides of me. I'm covered by those that are my ancestors, that are part of my cheerleading crowd, that great crowd of witnesses. I'm covered by those that are on the sides of me. When I need that financial advice, I can go to an expert. When I need to go talk to that counselor, I can walk into any parish, any place of worship, and know that someone's there with calm and peace to give me space. There are coaches, therapists, there are individuals that are just there to help save space for you to process. Could you imagine if you added 30 minutes into every 2 weeks just to go, just to say, this is what I'm feeling. And I guess I just needed to say it out loud. And to have someone neutral say, I've noticed that you said that word 3 times. Tell me what that means to you. Because you're so used to just running through that you're not even noticing how things impact you. Listen, I'm a witness. I preach to the choir when I'm talking about that because I go at 1,000. There are times that I have learned to appreciate peace, calm, and help. Family, you deserve to be happy, healthy, and whole. And the happiness starts with you prioritizing you. Yeah, sometimes that might mean saying no. Because if you keep saying yes to everything, what are you saying no to? Woo, that was good. I should have been hearing that over the last few years because that's me. I'm a doer. I have, however, learned that if I'm not in a place at my best, I can't be an effective doer. At that point, I shift from being effective to people pleasing. And what I'd rather do is Tami love. Consider, family, what you can allow yourself to embrace even as new. I used to say I can't. Because my question is, why can't you? If everybody else is doing it, why can't you? So it's not that you can't. It's you're choosing not to. Let's prioritize healthy choices. As we go into our wrap up during this motivation moment, we want to highlight that this upcoming holiday in the United States is Memorial Day. Memorial Day brings with it a great opportunity for us to pause and show gratitude for those who have stood on the battlefield, put on those uniforms for our safety. I'll tell you that you oftentimes don't appreciate our military till you need them. I'm an Army mom where my daughter was in the military. I'm also the daughter of a Navyman, have a brother who was in the Marines, had cousin in the Air Force. We've all know someone who was in the service or had ancestors who served, because at one point there was a draft that was required for service. Family, during this Memorial Weekend, we want to pause at the Power Up to thank and remember those who we want to appreciate for sharing their life for us. There's a key difference. Memorial Day is meant to honor those who have gone on. Veterans Day is when we honor those who are still here. So during this Memorial Day, some key facts to know is that it wasn't always called Memorial Day. In the beginning, it was just a week of honor. The date is significant, and the fact that the U.S. presidents specifically mark this occasion every year, so much that it is a federal holiday, is very important. Whether you get an opportunity to go to a national cemetery, or you get an opportunity to say thank you for your service to someone that might be wearing that veteran hat, or to an elderly gentleman that might be proudly wearing his camouflage, or maybe you're in a restaurant and have the opportunity to pay it forward. Listen, it's what we do to make a difference for someone else. Memorial Day again gives us opportunity to take that moment of remembrance, typically held at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to pause for a minute and just think of all of those who gave their lives in the line of duty or stopped their own personal life to be on that Air Force carrier, to be out in the waters in the Navy, to be in Afghanistan or those other lands across the sea where they came home maybe for a holiday, missed many of their own wonderful opportunities to hang out and grow and have family time, missed children being born just so that they could serve, so they could protect. Memorial Day is an opportunity for us to show our heartfelt thanks and pause to honor those who don't walk this planet amongst us anymore, but show the greatest heroism by accepting a pledge to serve, to protect, to honor our country, and then put on a uniform, denying their personal lives to protect and serve us. We thank those for your service who are watching the Power Up. We're honored that you are a veteran amongst us. We also thank our ancestors and those who have gone on before us, because many of us are better. We're all here and have the freedoms we have because we are in this country. There are many countries that don't have many of the freedoms, including some that don't respect women or journalists. And yet I stand here in both of those steads. So I thank you all for joining us today at the Power Up. We hope you gain some insight into how you can make a difference in this planet, the neighborhood, everyone around you, and how you can be better health-wise as you deal with this aging body, and how you can continue to be the best you possible. Until next time.